learned several things. I learned how to develop strategies. I learned how to, and when I'm, our company learned how to develop strategies. What are winning strategies? We learned how to create a market. We created the modern 3D gaming market. We learned how, and so that exact same skill is how we created the modern AI market. It's exactly the same.
Wow.
Yeah, it's exactly the same skill, exactly the same blueprint. And we learned how to deal with crisis, how to stay calm, how to think through things systematically. We learned how to remove all waste in the company and work from first principles and doing only the things that are essential. Everything else is waste because we have no money for it. To live on fumes at all times. And the feeling, no different than the feeling I had this morning when I woke up, that you're going to be out of business soon. That the phrase 30 days from going out of business, I've used for 33 years. Because,
you still feel that?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Every morning.
But you guys are one of the biggest companies on planet Earth.
But the feeling doesn't change.
Wow.
The sense of vulnerability, the sense of uncertainty, the sense of insecurity, it doesn't leave you.
That's crazy.
We had nothing. We had nothing. We were
and
dealing
you still
with giant.
Feel that?
Oh yeah. Every day, every moment.
Do you think that fuels you? Is that part of the reason why the company's so successful? That you have that hungry mentality? That you never rest. You're never sitting on your laurels. You're always on the edge.
I have a greater drive from not wanting to fail than the drive of wanting to succeed.
Isn't that like success coaches would tell you that's completely the wrong psychology?
The world has just heard me say that out loud for the first time. But it's true.
Well, that's so fascinating.
The fear of failure drives me more than the greed or whatever it is.
Well, ultimately, that's probably a more healthy approach, now that I'm thinking about it. Because like the fear...
I'm not ambitious, for example. I just want to stay alive, Joe. I want the company to thrive, I want us to make an impact.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why you're so humble. Maybe that's what keeps you grounded, Because with the kind of spectacular success the company's achieved, it would be easy to get a big head.
No.
Right? But isn't that interesting? It's like if you were the guy that your main focus is just success, you probably would go, well, made it, nailed it, I'm the man.
Drop the mic.
Instead, you wake up, you're like, God, we can't fuck this up.
No, exactly. Every morning. No, every moment.
That's crazy.
Before I go to bed.
Well, listen, if I was a major investor in your company, that's who I'd want running it. I'd want a guy who's terrified of... Yeah.
That's what I work. That's why I work 7 days a week. Every moment I'm awake.
You work every moment
Every
you're awake?
moment I'm awake.
Wow.
I'm thinking about solving a problem. I'm thinking about...
How long can you keep this up?
I don't know, but could be next week.
It sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting.
It sounds completely exhausting.
Always in a state of anxiety.
Wow.
Yeah, always in a state of anxiety.
Well, kudos to you for admitting that. I think that's important for a lot of people to hear because, there's probably some young people out there that are in a similar position to where you were when you were starting out that just feel like, oh, those people that have made it, they're just smarter than me and they had more opportunities than me. And it's just like it was handed to them or they're just in the right place at the right time. And
Joe, I just described to you somebody who didn't know what was going on, actually did it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the ultimate diving catch like 2 or 3 times.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The ultimate diving catch is the perfect way to put it. It's just like the edge of your glove.
It probably bounced off of somebody's helmet and landed at the edge.
God, that's incredible. That's incredible, but it's really cool that you have this perspective that you look at it that way. Because, you know, a lot of people that have delusions of grandeur, or they have, you know,
and
inflated.
their rewriting of history oftentimes had them somehow extraordinarily smart, and they were geniuses, and they knew all along, and they were spot on. The business plan was exactly what they thought, and they destroyed the competition, and you know, and they emerged victorious.
Meanwhile, you're like, I'm scared every day.
Exactly. I think there's nothing inconsistent with being a leader and being vulnerable. You know, the company doesn't need me to be a genius, right all along, right all the time, absolutely certain about what I'm trying to do and what I'm doing. The company doesn't need that. The company wants me to succeed. I'm lucky that I work in a company where I have 40,000 people who wants me to succeed. They want me to succeed, and I can tell. And they're all every single day to help me overcome these challenges, trying to realize what I described to be our strategy, doing their best. And if it's somehow wrong or not perfectly right, to tell me so that we could pivot. And the more vulnerable we are as a leader, the more able other people are able to tell you, you know, that, Jensen, that's not exactly right, or
right.
Have you considered this information? And the more vulnerable we are, the more able we're actually able to pivot. If we put ourselves into this superhuman capability, then it's hard for us to pivot strategy.
Right.
Because we were supposed to be right all along. And so if you're always right, how can you possibly pivot? Because pivoting requires you to be wrong. And so I've got no trouble with being wrong. I just have to make sure that I stay alert, that I reason about things from first principles all the time. Always break things down to first principles, understand why it's happening. Reassess continuously. The reassessing continuously is kind of partly what causes continuous anxiety. You know, because you're asking yourself, were you wrong yesterday? Are you still right? Is this the same? Has that changed? Has that condition? Is that worse than you thought?
But God, that mindset is perfect for your business, though, because this business is ever changing.
All the time.
And
I've got competition coming from every direction.
So much of it is kind of up in the air. Whew.
And you have to invent a future where 100 variables are included. And there's no way you could be right on all of them. And so you have to surf.
Wow,
you have to surf.
That's a good way to put it. You have to surf.
Yeah.
You're surfing waves of technology and innovation.
That's right. You can't predict the waves. You got to deal with the ones you have.
Wow.
But skill matters. And I've been doing this for 33. I'm the longest running tech CEO in the world.
Is that true?
Yeah,
Congratulations. That's amazing.
And you know, people ask me how. Just one, don't get fired. And then two, don't get bored. Yeah.
Well, how do you maintain your enthusiasm?
Well, the honest truth is not always enthusiasm. It's, you know, sometimes it's enthusiasm. Sometimes it's just good old-fashioned fear. And then sometimes, you know, a healthy dose of frustration. You know, it's...
Whatever keeps you moving.
Yeah, just all the emotions. I think, you know, CEOs, we have all the emotions, right? You know, and so probably jacked up to the maximum because you're kind of feeling it on behalf of the whole company. I'm feeling it on behalf of everybody at the same time. And it kind of, you know, it encapsulates into somebody. And so I have to be mindful of the past. I have to be mindful of the present. I've got to be mindful of the future. And, you know, it's not without emotion. It's not just a job. Let's just put it that way.
It doesn't seem like it at all.
You just have to have a culture of staying super alert. There's no easy way of being alert except for paying attention. I haven't found a single way of being able to stay alert without paying attention. And so, you know, I probably read several thousand emails a day.
How? How do you have the time for that?
I wake up early. This morning I was up at 4 o'clock.
How much do you sleep?
Six, 7 hours. Yeah,
And then you're up at 4, read
Yeah.
emails for a few hours before you get going.
that's right. Yeah,
Wow. Every day.
every single day, not one day missed, including Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Do you ever take a vacation?
Yeah, but my definition of a vacation is when I'm with my family, and so if I'm with my family, I'm very happy. I don't care where we are.
And you don't work then? Or you work
no,
a little?
No, I work a lot.
Even when you, like if you go on a trip somewhere,
Oh, sure.
you're still working.
Oh, sure.
Wow. Every day.
Every day.
Ooh,
Well, my kids work every day.
you make me tired just saying this.
My kids work every day. Both of my kids work at NVIDIA. They work every day.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
Wow.
Yeah. It's brutal now because, it's just me working every day. Now we have 3 people working every day, and they want to work with me every day. And so it's a lot of work.
Well, you've obviously imparted that ethic into them.
They
that
work
ethic.
incredibly hard.
I mean, there's
Unbelievable.
there's
But
no-
my parents work incredibly hard. Yeah. I was born with the work gene, the suffering gene.
Well, listen, man, it has paid off. What a crazy story. It's really an amazing origin story. It really, I mean, it has to be kind of surreal to be in the position that you're in now when you look back at how many times that it could have fallen apart and humble beginnings, everything, all of it, from your childhood to the perils of NVIDIA almost falling. It's really incredible, man.
It's a great story. Yeah. I've lived a great life.
You really have. And it's a great story for other people to hear, too. It really is.
You don't have to go to Ivy League schools to succeed. This country creates opportunities, has opportunities for all of us. You do have to strive. You have to claw your way here. Yeah.
But if you put in the work, you can succeed. A lot of luck and a lot of good
and
decision making.
the good graces of others.
Yes. That's really important.
Yeah. You and I spoke about two people who are very dear to me, but the list goes on. The people at NVIDIA who have helped me, many friends that are on the board. The Sega partnership, we started taking off, started building our game console. And about a couple years into it, we discovered our first technology didn't work. It would have been a flaw. It was a flaw. And all of the technology ideas that we had, the architecture concepts were sound, but the way we were doing computer graphics was exactly backwards. Instead of, I won't bore you with the technology, but instead of inverse texture mapping, we were doing forward texture mapping. Instead of triangles, we did curved surfaces. So other people did it flat, we did it round. Other technology, the technology that ultimately won, the technology we use today, has Z buffers. It automatically sorted. We had an architecture with no Z buffers. The application had to sort it. And so we chose a bunch of technology approaches that 3 major technology choices, all 3 choices were wrong. Okay, so this is how incredibly smart we were. And so in 1995, mid-95, we realized we were going down the wrong path. Meanwhile, the Silicon Valley was packed with 3D graphics startups because it was the most exciting technology of that time. And so 3D effects and rendition and Silicon Graphics was coming in. Intel was already in there. And, it was like what added up eventually to 100 different startups we had to compete against. Everybody had chosen the right technology approach, and we chose the wrong one. And so we were the first company to start. We found ourselves essentially dead last with the wrong answer. And so the company was in trouble. And ultimately, we had to make several decisions. The first decision is, well, if we change now, we will be the last company. And even if we changed into the technology that we believe to be right, we'd still be dead. And so that argument, do we change and therefore be dead? Don't change and make this technology work somehow? Or go do something completely different? That question stirred the company strategically and was a hard question. I eventually, advocated for, we don't know what the right strategy is, but we know what the wrong technology is. So let's stop doing it the wrong way, and let's give ourselves a chance to go figure out what the strategy is. The second problem we had was our company was running out of money, and I was in a contract with Sega, and I owed them this game console. And if that contract would have been canceled, we'd be dead. We would have vaporized instantly. Whew. And so I went to Japan and I explained to the CEO of Sega, Iri Majiri, really great man. He was the former CEO of Honda USA, went back to Sega to run Sega, went back to Japan to run Sega. And I explained to him that, and I was, 33 years old. When I was 33 years old, I still had acne. And I got this Chinese kid, and I was super skinny. And he was already kind of elder. And I went to him and I said, listen, I've got some bad news for you. And first, the technology that we promised you doesn't work. And second, we shouldn't finish your contract because we'd waste all your money and you would have something that doesn't work. And I recommend you find another partner to build your game console.
Whoa.
And so I'm terribly sorry that we've set you back in your product roadmap. And third, even though I'm asking you to let me out of the contract, I still need the money. Because if you didn't give me the money, we'd vaporize overnight. And so I explained it to him humbly, honestly. I gave him the background. I explained to him why the technology doesn't work, why we thought it was going to work, why it doesn't work. And I asked him to convert the last $5 million that they were going to complete the contract, to give us that money as an investment instead. And he said, but it's very likely your company will go out of business, even with my investment. And it was completely true. Back then, 1995, $5 million was a lot of money. It's a lot of money today. $5 million was a lot of money. And here's a pile of competitors doing it right. What are the chances that giving NVIDIA $5 million, that we would develop the right strategy, that he would get a return on that $5 million or even get it back? 0%. You do the math, it's 0%. If I were sitting there right there, I wouldn't have done it. $5 million was an amount of money to Sega at the time. And so I told him that if you invested that $5 million in us, it is most likely to be lost. But if you didn't invest that money, we'd be out of business and we would have no chance. And I told him that I don't even know exactly what I said in the end, but I told him that I would understand if he decided not to, but it would make the world to me if he did. He went off and thought about it for a couple of days and came back and said, well, do it.
Wow. Did you have a
Irimajiri.
strategy to how to correct what it was doing wrong? Did you explain that to him?
Oh man, wait until I tell you the rest of it. It's scary, even scarier.
Oh no.
And so what he decided was Jensen was a young man he liked. That's it.
Wow.
To this day.
That's nuts.
Well,
Crazy
he celebrated today in Japan. And if he would have kept that the investment, I think it'd be worth probably about $1 trillion today. I know. But the moment we went public, they sold it. They goes, wow, that's a miracle. And so
Wow.
they sold it. Yeah, they sold it at NVIDIA valuation about $300 million.
It's an incredible story, Jensen. It really is.
I was incredibly grateful. And then now we had to figure out what to do because we still were doing the wrong strategy, wrong technology. So unfortunately, we had to lay off most of the company. We shrunk the company all back. All the people working on the game console, we had to shrink it all back. And then somebody told me that, but Jensen, we've never built it this way before. We've never built it the right way before. We've only known how to build it the wrong way. And so nobody in the company knew how to build this supercomputing image generator 3D graphics thing that Silicon Graphics did. And so I said, okay, how hard can it be? You got all these 30 companies, 50 companies doing it. How hard can it be? And so luckily, there was a textbook written by the company, Silicon Graphics. And so I went down to the store. I had $200 in my pocket, and I bought 3 textbooks, the only 3 they had, $60 a piece. I bought the 3 textbooks. I brought it back and I gave one to each one of the architects, and I said, read that and let's go save the company. And so they read this textbook, learned from the giant at the time, Silicon Graphics, about how to do 3D graphics. But the thing that was amazing, and what makes NVIDIA special today, is that the people that are there are able to start from first principles, learn best known art, but re-implement it in a way that's never been done before. And so when we reimagined the technology of 3D graphics, we reimagined it in a way that manifests today, the modern 3D graphics. We really invented modern 3D graphics. But we learned from previous known arts, and we implement it fundamentally differently.
What did you do that changed it?
Well, ultimately, the simple answer is that the way Silicon Graphics works, the geometry engine is a bunch of software running on processors. We took that and eliminated all the generality, the general purposeness of it, and we reduced it down into the most essential part of 3D graphics, and we hard-coded it into the chip. And so instead of something general purpose, we hard-coded it very specifically into just the limited applications, limited functionality necessary for video games. And that capability, and because we reinvented a whole bunch of stuff, it supercharged the capability of that one little chip. And our one little chip was generating images as fast as a $1 million image generator. That was the big breakthrough. We took $1 million thing and we put it into the graphics card that you now put into your gaming PC. And that was our big invention. And of course the question is how do you compete against these 30 other companies doing what they were doing? And there we did several things. One, instead of building a 3D graphics chip for every 3D graphics application, we decided to build a 3D graphics chip for one application. We bet the farm on video games. The needs of video games are very different than the needs for CAD, needs for flight simulators. They're related but not the same. And so we narrowly focused our problem statement so I could reject all of the other complexities, and we shrunk it down into this one little focus, and then we supercharged it for gamers. And the second thing that we did was we created a whole ecosystem of working with game developers and getting their games ported and adapted to our silicon so that we could turn essentially what is a technology business into a platform business, into a game platform business. So GeForce is really, today it's also the most advanced 3D graphics technology in the world. But a long time ago, GeForce is really the game console inside your PC. It runs Windows, it runs Excel, it runs PowerPoint, of course. Those are easy things. But its fundamental purpose was simply to turn your PC into a game console. So we were the first technology company to build all of this incredible technology in service of one audience, gamers. Now, of course, in 1993, the gaming industry didn't exist. But by the time that John Carmack came along and the Doom phenomenon happened, and then Quake came